draws, just everywhere. So for me, this experience being here is kind of like being at home, but it's a much nicer home than the one I grew up in on Mermaid Avenue in Coney Island. My mother had a vision at that time. You don't mind if I start to cry every once in a while? That was fast. That was too soon to cry. My mom had a vision when my dad died that hopefully someday there would be a place on earth where people could come and research his writings and enjoy them, sing his songs, etc. But because of Huntington's disease, which my father suffered from for over 15 years, she was a single mom at that point with 3 children, and her kind of lioness side kind of kicked into full gear, and she felt at that time that she had to try to find a cure for Huntington's disease so that we would have a chance of surviving it if and when we ever developed Huntington's disease. So she was distracted, seriously distracted, and went into genetic research. By the way, she was a lay person who went into genetic research. She was not a scientist, she was a dancer, actually. And at that point, she put an ad in the New York Times and said, it was one of those little classified 2-liners, if anyone knows anything about Huntington's disease, please call Virginia 80249. Also in the days when we had, those letters, which I adore, and I still think they should bring them back. But anyway, her life went off in that direction, and she eventually founded the Committee to Combat Huntington's Disease. She went around to the medical schools and talked to all the young medical students at the time, trying to interest them in doing genetic research. Found there was a huge body of illnesses that if they all came under the one umbrella of genetic research, it would be able to alleviate many, many, many diseases, not just Huntington's. And she has a wonderful history and story of her own, again, because she did work with these young research students who became the generation that founded the genome and the DNA and all these incredible things. And I'm mentioning it because not only did I grow up with my father's side of the world, the Leadbellies and the Pete Seegers and all that, later on I grew up with all the genetic scientists of the world and the research scientists of the world. And I also grew up with all the dancers of the world because my mother was in Martha Graham's dance company for 15 years. So she was actually Merce Cunningham's dance teacher. And Eric Hawkins, for any of those who were interested in that. So it's just this huge 360-degree life that we actually experienced. And I'm saying that again because I really hope that the museum and the contents of this center, not just the museum, but this room and the temporary gallery and the Guthrie Green, all participate in this wonderful 360-degree collaboration of life between research scientists, musicians, dancers, theater people, teachers. My father's favorite line was, I'm out to sing the songs that make you take pride in yourself and in your work. And in a time now where we're so distracted by celebrityism, and it's on television, it's on the radio, as if you're not a rock and roller, you're a nobody or something like that. I'm just hoping that this center will expand and really connect to all walks of life, whether you're an engineer or a teacher, a scientist, an auto mechanic. My dad wrote many songs about auto mechanics as well. And a lot of this information wasn't really known until probably about 1992, which is surprisingly late. You'd think, so many years after his death in '67, there should be more known about him. But because there was no archives and there was just all this stuff in boxes around my house, and then later housed in an office in New York, no one really had the opportunity, including myself, to go through any of this material. We kind of all thought we knew it all. And we all thought we knew it all because of what Bob Dylan told us, what Peter, Paul, and Mary told us. You know, there were hits along the way where suddenly there was interest in Woody. But again, it was through very specific eyes and very specific livelihoods that we learned about Woody. And my experience came... Oh, thank you.